6 o'clock, Wednesday, May 20th of 2026. Thanks for joining us for our council meeting. Tonight, we're going to start out with Barry Goodell from our zoning department.
All right, thank you, Barry. Yeah, I'm here tonight. I actually sent you folks an email earlier today that has this document in it, and I also need the hard copies. Mr. Pitchford has a copy, and Mayor Record has a copy too. What I'd like to talk about a little bit is this short-term rental thing. This has been problematic before, during, and after this thing. I mean, the calls we still get, people want rid of these things, period. You know, and I don't think the ordinance, the way it's written, is doing us a whole lot of good right now. So I've made some suggestions what I think we need to do. And Marcia, you please kick in while I'm talking to you with any thoughts. To say. I think this thing needs to go through a due process. And I think it should go before like a planning commission, or if we had a dedicated commission or board that would review short-term rentals. The Board of Zoning Appeals would be kept for repeals. If somebody had revoked, it would go to the BZA and then eventually would go to court after that, if that didn't work. I think it should be advertised as a public hearing. I think it needs to be recorded as such. Have the applicants come in and testify what they're doing with these rentals. And the neighbors should be invited in to also testify to give their views and put on the record, because as it stands now, they still get complaints about them. We don't want them. We don't want them. We don't want them. And I don't know, you folks are getting the same complaints, but it has come in the zone the same way. So I have some suggestions, and I think, maybe council can talk about it, talk with the mayor, talk with our law director, and how maybe we can tweak this. I don't think we have to get rid of it. I just think we need to tweak it to make it a little more effective. So I'm used to going to Board of Zoning Appeals meetings, planning and zoning commission meetings. They're all advertised, the neighbors are notified by letter, they're actually posted as a legal notice on the website. And I think if we're ever sued, I think we're going to be better off if we have a more tighter system on running these things. So just from experience I have. But I invite you to read this over, maybe talk a little bit about it, or, I'm open to questions in that. But I think as it's working, I don't like how it's working now. And I think we need to do it better, especially as this top guy on the gun on this thing.
So you're effectively asking us just to change this into a conditional permit effectively is what I'm getting, is that correct?
Right, or something similar, a similar procedure, like the Planning and Zoning Commission. Now, I think one day what we had to do, Marshall, we had us in here, just a couple of us were talking, and you had an idea, maybe a board of just certain people that would review these. You mentioned maybe like me, mayor, maybe a council member, or something like that was another potential route outside the planning commission.
Yeah, the concept that you're discussing had to do with nuisance abatement, right? That's a nuisance abatement board where the mayor and the zoning, the fire chief, that's what I would discuss.
Would that work similar to this if it wasn't going to the planning commission? Would you consider something similar?
We could always look at that. We could create, if council wanted to, we could create something like that.
Okay.
But I'm not necessarily advocating.
Okay, just a question. So,
I guess my question would be, we talked about this for nearly 8 months. That sounds right? Was it 7, 8 months? Yeah. Legislation or the written text was out there. We talked about this numerous times. And we never heard anything from your office review regarding concerns on this. Why didn't we hear anything from that?
well, I never really received anything to say to come into council and talk to council.
It's open for anybody anytime.
Right, so.
Same with the public.
But as it stands, we're in effect with this thing, and it just don't seem like it's working very well. And I'll stand by my guns on that. So.
Well, you can stand by your guns on that. My question would be to them. This hasn't been in effect long enough for anybody to make a solid judgment call 100% one way or the other that this is gospel. Do I think that after a year of seeing what happens and seeing what kind of problems we have, and see what kind of successes we have with this, that we may make changes in the future? It is premature to make a change before you even get all the applicants in and we even go through anything. That is that is somebody that just, it doesn't seem realistic to me, let me put it that way. The next question I have for you, did you cause the signs to be put in the yard as this is, tells you to do? Because I've got an email where there was one in a window.
That's correct. That was actually Mr. Hoffman, and I met with him. We had a meeting in our office, or my office, about that.
Well, that's great, but did you put the signs in the yard?
No.
Why not?
Well, because I figured they would probably get taken down. It would be better to have them in a window or somewhere people could see them. But,
But you can't see them when you drive by. The whole purpose of that yard sign is it's out front where people can drive by. and
well,
see
the
it.
street in question is Elk Court, and there's signs on Elk Court, they're anti-short-term rental signs that have been there. So, I mean, the neighbors are well informed, and they've known for months too.
Doesn't matter, the regulations call for the city to place signs in the yard, and that's zoning's job to do that.
And let's be honest, out towards the little dead end road that nobody's just driving by. So even if it's in the window, you're not gonna see it driving by, that's the whole purpose of the yard sign.
Right.
So
Well,
I
I'm
don't
just-
see what public notice you even, achieve at this point in time.
Well, I just still think that, we could face some problems down the line legally in this.
All right, but
And I talked to one of the residents, and he's thinking about filing a suit against the city about this, which he's welcome to do that. That's his prerogative to do whatever, so.
we can all be sued at any time, but I still haven't heard a good answer other than I didn't want to about the signs. I mean, did you approach the mayor or legal counsel to say, I'm not gonna follow these guidelines to?
No.
So you just made a personal decision not to follow the guidelines. And this is not the first time. I remember on the event center, I had come in to call you to put a sign down there too. So is there a problem with driving the sign down places and putting the sign up?
No.
What's the problem?
No. No, like I say, I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, I just, like I say, there's other signs down there that are already posted, everybody knows about it anyway. I understand what you're saying about the ordinance, I do understand that. But there's a lot of things in this thing that I think that need tightened up.
If we're not following, how come we can expect them to follow? We're not following the ordinance as it was written.
Well, it's been followed to the T outside of the summer, that's anything.
Well, then I'm gonna fall to the T, and I would expect by the end of next week that there are signs posted in those yards as the ordinance calls for. That's zoning's position to do, unless you get an okay from Mr. Rector and Mayor and our legal counsel not to put those signs up there, then those signs need to be out there.
And if we're talking about potential liability, I would say we're potentially liable because we didn't post the notice like we're supposed to. I mean, we've got a 14-day notice to have these signs posted, and it's not posted as it's written, so did we even post that notice?
I mean, you post a notice, I base it on when the application comes in and I prepare the permit.
Right, but I could see a resident coming in saying it wasn't, I wasn't notified by the sign in the yard as it's, speaks to in the ordinance. I didn't even know, in certain cases, they could say that I didn't know this was up for that 14-day period at this point in time.
Well, see, I think they should be notified by letter too. I mean, they should all be, the adjoining neighbors should get a letter. Just like we do with the BZA or the planning commission too.
But where do you draw that line from the adjoining neighbor getting a letter if it's a guy a few doors down that's just outside of that reach of the letter?
Well, we can always determine it. Right now, in the code, it's the adjoining property owners, but it used to be three down, 3 up, 3 across, 3 behind. And I have no problem with that, to do that either.
Well, that's not a requirement, maybe that'll be a requirement in the future. Right now, we have to look at what is a requirement and follow those to the T.
So, Mr. Regano, other than the lack of a commission hearing on this and the sign issue, is there any other things why you think we should revise this ordinance?
Well, like I say, I'm still hearing the same complaints before the ordinance, during the ordinance, I'm sure, and I agree with Mr. Schaefer. We can sit and wait on it a while and see if it continues to be on the same thing. If they keep complaining about that they don't want it. I mean, how do you appease somebody who doesn't want something?
I mean, just like with every zoning issue, there's gonna be neighbors who don't like their other neighbor putting a certain thing on their property, and I think the reason the city council chose to avoid a conditional use permit processing is that when you place a conditional permit on a piece of property, let's say a bar establishment, we have conditional permits on stuff like that because we know that there's typically always a negative effect And now we place a burden on them to come to a public hearing and to sit here and explain to us why we should allow them to use that use on their property. The council, I feel, is approach, I'm speaking for everybody, but, myself on this matter really, is that when we do it in this manner, it allows them to use their property in, a short-term rental format, but then allows them to have all these guardrails placed on them, and if they breach these guardrails, we can now come after the permit and revoke that use of their land. They have lost the right to have anybody at their house for a compensation for a short period of time. So we chose not to place that burden on someone who, can use their property in a good manner like that. Because we don't want them to come in here and tell them why you can't and can't have people on it. We want to have these guardrails in effect so that when they do breach that, then it's revoked. Do you see the approach we
Right.
took on that?
Well, and I do understand that, and I think the other thing is, this is a business, this is operating a business in a residential district.
Is
So it's a long-term rental.
Well,
that's
true,
the
but
issue is
But
what,
the short-term rentals create a controversy.
Mr. Cano, I can honestly agree that I have received probably like 5 emails about a long-term rental, and I have only received 3 from short-term rentals. So, I'm not going to say that short-term rentals may cause more or less problems, but I've received emails from both types of renters on issues. 3-month renters, 3-day renters. I have received issues on both, and that's why we want to do it through the same process. Where long-term renters have no guardrails, such as these short-term rentals have. A long-term renter, parties every night for a whole year, and they skip town a year after that. Short-term renters, if they have that issue, they're gone, and that can never be used in that way again. They lose their right to the property like that. So that's why we chose not to use this conditional permit process, because of the extra burdens we already have implemented.
Or am I gonna receive backing if I revoke somebody's permit?
Depends on why you're revoking.
Yeah, obviously that's a
legit reasons.
that's a very open-ended question. It depends on why. I have no idea why
Right.
you revoke one of the would be in
Well, I
relation and
want
sources
sufficient
or not.
documentation, not only through zoning, but from the police and fire and other departments that's had this problem with the property. We need to know about it, and I want official documentation for it, to revoke it.
Wasn't it that we spoke about having you coordinate with the police department on whenever there was an issue on a certain property, they would let you know? Is that not something you spoke of, I think, a while ago?
I don't think the chief and I really had a discussion about that.
Okay, I think if we get that set up, so then, we have the permits, and there's, how many permits have we received?
I think right now we're standing on 4, and 2 of them are for the same individual. It has the one in Alport and one on State Park Drive.
So you only have to tell them 4 addresses, so that every time there's an issue on that. And, our officers have dash cams, body cams, and they write police reports, even for something that's a cat stuck in a tree, there's gotta be a police report that's wrote for that.
Right.
So they write, every time they go out, they write what they do on the calls, and I think we try to write this in, but that is sufficient for what I believe our standards would be going against it. If they went out for, you could call your neighbor and they're having music in their backyard at 4 p.m., I wouldn't say it's a violation, depending on how obnoxious it is and whatnot, but because of those police reports we have, that is giving you your backing now. I'm not gonna sit here and go, here, he said, she said, well, we have a police report on it. If there's a police report on it, we have a police report on it. And I thought that's what the rest of the council was pretty appreciative of having those.
Mr. Wolf, Mr. Allman, I know you guys put a lot of work into this. You guys worked with legal and everything else. Did you guys talk to Mr. Cano about any of this during the process?
We had a meeting when we first started the process of it was sort of the skeleton of here's how.
That was at the
very,
very
beginning. And we talked about how everything would flow through your office and out. And I didn't see any pushback at that time, but we didn't really have the
It
details.
wasn't really established yet.
Right, no, I agree, but we
Right.
did have, we talked about it, we knew that all things were gonna go through your office, and we walked away with that. I had 2 questions. One, you mentioned that there was a party that is threatening to sue the city. I don't wanna know the names or anything,
Right.
but is it a short-term rental owner, or is it a neighbor?
It's an owner,
It's an owner.
an STR owner, yes.
Okay, got it. That was one question I had. And then the issues we're having that seems to be just around, is it around one particular property, or are you hearing it all throughout the city?
It's actually on two
Okay,
properties.
two properties.
Same owner, two properties.
Got it, understood.
I think you guys know who we're talking about.
Right.
You don't have to really get into it,
Yeah, I
That's all.
think, so you're receiving a lot of letters, obviously beforehand, correct?
but mostly calls.
Mostly
Calls,
calls.
and I got some emails too, so. I mean, the only reason why I'm here tonight, I just want to bring it forth that the thing that kind of bothers me is that there's really, not really like a due process.
So, I want to interrupt you real quick, so we heard the due process thing. So, there's lots of things in the city you can do without going to zoning first, correct?
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah.
This is one of them. This is one of them that you can do without going to a BZA or a commission. There's lots of things that you can approve without going to a commission in a BZA, correct? Like you can
Well,
build that fence in your property, right? It's within zoning.
Right, if it's within reason and it's valid, whether.
Well, within the zoning code, not within the reason.
Right, within the zoning code, correct. If they want to do a fence, we've got to check to see if it is compliant with the code. If it's not, then, you know, they're gonna have to go through the board of zoning appeals or whatever it may be to challenge the decision on
Yeah, and I'm not attacking your advice, I'm just saying that council's decided that this use is permitted and allowed to be approved by your office. And then if they break these guardrails, your office is also allowed to revoke that without going to commission or the BZA. So that is the angle that we have approached this at. Now, the feedback period is there to help your office have guidance because you can't have your eyes and ears everywhere.
it. Right, that's correct.
Because, you know, just like all police enforcement, it's on a,
Well, my question is, if I do end up revoking something, that I have all the documentation, I'm just requesting I have backing
you,
on the decision.
it's just like every time you revoke any other use of land in the city of New Franklin, you do it all the time properly, right?
No, not really. I mean, we're not in a situation where we're, you know, pulling things out for people. It's gotta be a legitimate thing. I just think what makes me nervous about all this is the controversy behind all this. And who knows in the line as far as the state, who knows what the state's gonna do? I mean, this could be very well null and void in the future, depending on what they do in Columbus. So, and I'm not here to stir the pot or anything, I'm just here because I have some concerns about it, that's all.
Yeah, I was just trying to explain what I thought was the thought process behind council passing this ordinance.
Right. Well, it wasn't unanimous, so if I remember.
It was, the majority of it was unanimous, obviously, you can hear from the legislative history of this, obviously, this ordinance, there's a
Right.
trigger footnote. Everything else was pretty unanimous in the council, looking back at the record.
Well, like I say, I appreciate the time, I just wanted to bring it to your attention and just keep it on the radar, you know. As far as posting a sign, that's not an issue, that can be handled very easily, you know. But like I say, when I was down there, you know, checking it, I was kind of surprised that the signs all down there, you know, we don't want this thing, or they harm our neighborhood or whatever, so. I mean, I think we're gonna all hear, as time goes on, there's gonna be more and more complaints from people that just don't want it. And I mean, I don't look at that as a valid reason. I can't, you know, have somebody call me and say, I don't want it, I mean, that's not really a valid reason. Unless there's some criminal activity or something's happened there, then we have a valid reason. But just to call and say, I don't want it, I just, you know, I don't think you guys are gonna go along with that, and I can't go along with that either, so.
Yeah, I think.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion on that.
Yeah, short-term rentals were really a harm before we regulated them. So I think when the
Right,
regulations go into effect, there'll be real change implemented, and that's what we're trying to do.
okay. Well, I'm just asking to keep the door open and stuff, that's all.
The 4 applications that we have gotten, have we researched any of the addresses of the police department yet to see if there was any?
Yes, I have
issues?
checked on that,
Okay.
you know, so.
I was making sure we're doing that before
I know
the
that one
application
individual though
process.
has properties in Coventry, he's been involved, I think, in legal situations.
I don't think we can go outside of the scope of those addresses, correct? I talked to Chief Bickett too, I think it's been minimal outside of typical nuisance calls or something like that, but I don't think.
It's like one married couple screaming at each other, one at one.
Yeah, there's a rule of count, you know, on that.
But outside of those
Yeah.
addresses, we can't look at the history of the other properties that person would own
Outside of the city.
outside of the city.
It'd have to be tied to that property.
Correct.
Right,
Okay.
right. I don't think we can bring up something, if they've done something in another city, we can't use that against them here, so, I mean, it's part of the due process, I guess. I won't take you guys' time, but I appreciate it.
Do you guys have anything to say?
Do you feel that one of those four that you're currently looking at is gonna be rejected? Keep asking to see if we're gonna be supporting you, so.
No, I don't think so. I don't think at this time that's too early in the game. As you said, Barry, it's still, we need to be a little more time on this, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but it's just something that's bothering me, and I thought I'd talk about it, that's all. You know, no offense, I hope.
Barry, I would back your judgment if you deny one of these, I believe. I'd back your judgment most of
As like I say, doing this for almost 25 years, I've seen every kind of scenario, so, you know, that's the way it is, I guess, so.
Yeah, just, don't be too fearful to revoke if you think litigation's on this scale, don't.
Well, I'm gonna lean heavily on mostly the police reports. If it's a nuisance, we're gonna really look at that and say, if the police are out there, then we've got a problem. And it's documented. So,
Following the ordinance, and you have police reports, it seems pretty easy to revoke it. If you have
Okay.
enough evidence and stuff like that, I'm confident in your ability to do that.
any more questions? I mean,
I want to find out about, I get more questions about long-term rentals. And there's a property very close to my house.
1634,
Right.
that's why it's
Right.
fine.
But we so we're sitting here talking about short-term rentals, and we have a long-term rental that looks like Sanford or something.
Yeah, we have
I don't know if you know what that is.
the absentee property owner in Florida and that, so. And I promised the mayor that Bill and I are gonna visit the property. We did turn it over to Herb initially last year. And he had Isabella Summers working with him, she's an attorney. And she was out there with Bill and that, but I was in the hospital at that time and all that was going on.
Sure.
So, but like I said, I promised the mayor we'll deliver it, we'll go visit that. But I don't know, what's the next step, after that?
I've been on council for 2 years, and I'm not kidding, at least once a week I get a call on this property. I don't got a call on short-term rental, but I get one on this.
Right.
But my constituents, and it seems like nothing is getting resolved. And-
Well, it's been going on for probably since 2024, the letters and stuff have been going out. and all
Right, so
that.
that's ineffective. So we
Yeah.
need to, I don't know what, I can't give you the answer, but.
That's why I told Bill last fall, I said, get it to legal. We're gonna have to go, apparently nothing, they're not saluting it. So you reach a point, it's like the property down there in Valley Crest, you're all familiar with that.
Yeah.
We've had court orders to clean that up, I think, 3 times. And it's right back to where it started.
Again?
Again.
We do need to address that situation. We have numerous ones. It isn't just one or two.
Oh, yeah.
We have
absolutely.
numerous ones in the city.
Absolutely. I've talked with the one up on 619, it's Duffy Hill.
Yeah.
I've talked with him.
We have a lot here on West Common too.
We're at West Common, which one?
There are several there. The one by Jim, and then they're like 3 doors down, 4 doors down, and then another one before you get down to Manchester Road.
Okay. Well, we could definitely look into that. The one gentleman has all the logs up there, Gusty's in 619, we've talked to him, and he's cleaning that up, and he's doing pretty good, so. This job's a lot harder than it seems.
Top of the hill, though, stuff.
Right, yeah, it's tough.
No, it's hard. I just, it sounds like you're reaching out, but if we can get that resolved. I guess my thing with short-term rentals, no one's gonna rent a junky place. These people take pride in their house, they want it to rent. I'm having an issue with the long-term rentals with the absentee long-term owner that's in Florida. And I've run out of excuses. I can only tell them, call the zoning office, I'll make sure, call Bill Young, and it's been 2 years and we have to. I know, we'll just gotta get this going.
That's why last year we turned it over to her, because it was
Okay.
to the point that, court is not always, cure all either. I mean, the guy in Eldercrest is a good example of that, I mean, some people you just can't get to for some reason, so. But-
Barry, what was the outcome when you turned that over to him? You
Well,
said you turned it over to the lady you worked with?
Well, I think we went through the transition there where, I don't know if we're retired or what, and then, Marshall would be familiar with that, probably that particular property, because he's new on the team here. So.
Right.
So I don't know, but we'll have to talk more about that, what you want to do with that. I mean, even the former mayor even talked about putting the guy in jail for 3 days. They talked about that.
Mhm.
So,
So when we turn something over, what's our process of follow-up with legal counsel or whoever.
Well, we turn over all the letters and everything we have, and then
Yeah.
they take it from there.
But what's our follow-up process as a city? We can't just turn it over and
Well,
say
no,
we're done with it.
we communicate with the law director at that time. That's why Bill was out there with Isabella to look at the property in Swire. He was actually out there with her. They looked at it. And I think the whole thing just kind of went down a rabbit hole at that point because of the changes that we had. So, which is fine. You know, we can revisit, whatever, when to start the process over, then we have to do that. So.
I don't think we have to start the process over.
So we just need to get the information.
Yeah, because until you guys
Possible.
sent that email,
Right.
I wasn't real familiar with that one versus some of the other ones, so.
I as well get people reaching out about that, and just voting alone, I had 3 people coming to me. So it's,
When was the last time a letter was issued by your office?
I'd have to take a look because Bill was on writing letters. So, it probably was in 25, I'm sure, probably late because he had turned letters over to Irving and Isabella at that time. So I'll dig them out for you and I'll email them to you.
You were saying that you get calls
Oh, yeah.
all the time.
And I encourage them, the residents, to call the zoning office, because I'm powerless, all I can do is communicate with the office, so, I know that has, that you contacted them, but nothing, the neighbors say, guess what, Greg, it's getting worse, you know what I mean, it's not getting better, it's getting worse.
Well, the thing everybody's got to realize, we can't enter onto a property and clean it up, unless we have a court order to do that. I mean, there's a process we have to go through legally to do that.
Right.
A lot of people think we can go over there and clean it up, and it's like, we can't do that.
Yeah, I'm not telling you how to do your job, I just
Right.
wanted to know that there hasn't been improvement, and the neighbors are upset, and, so we can take that off, you knew what the proper.
Oh, yeah, I know,
You-
I even have the address and everything, so, yeah, it's,
So we'll have to, we'll get on that. Sounds like the mayor is volunteering some time, right? Maybe Mike.
I have no problem going out and talking to people. I want to look at options to give us a little more teeth, right? I mean, that's at the end of the day, I want to get a resolution. I just don't want to continue to spin round and round as much as we legally can do. So I know Marshall and I touched on that. How do we accomplish that, right? So, because Jim calls me too, Judy, and we talk about his neighbor and everything else over there. So.
That's that nuisance abatement process that you were talking about.
if there's anything else, I want to thank you guys for your time,
Thank you.
And points are well taken here, okay? I'm not here to argue or fight with anybody, and I know you guys aren't either, but, I mean, we're kind of, we got some of these things in zoning that are impasse. We go back 2 law directors, when Tom was here and when Herb was here, they always told us, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can exhaust your letters and do whatever, but then it becomes a legal matter at that point. So, I don't think anybody wants anybody on anybody's property without a court order, so.
Barry, you came in and gave us a report on your department, where a couple of months ago we had all department heads in here, and
I got another one for you.
yeah, I understand. And they talked about their departments, and unfortunately you weren't able to be here at that time. Can you do that now? Can you discuss the wonderful
Sure,
things?
I have a copy in front of you folks, and I'll just go through it here. Actually, it's better for me to read it, actually, is that okay?
I'm sorry?
It's okay for me just to read it?
Sure, whatever you're comfortable
You
with.
gotta follow along. Okay, a couple things coming up. City of New Franklin Planning and Zoning Commission, along with myself and zoning consultant Frank Guerrero, will be conducting the final public hearing regards the proposed new consolidated land use code on Thursday, May 28th at 6:30. That'll be a week from tomorrow. And that's the last leg of it. And one thing I wanted to say to Mr. Powell, because I know he's waiting for a red line document. I have talked to Fred about that twice. He is going to supply a digital copy to everybody.
Thank you.
So you can do a line by line comparison if you want. Let's see, after the commission hearing, then the recommendation would go to city council, and then you folks would set your own public hearing upon a recommendation from the planning commission on that. Let's see what else we have here. Once it's adopted and implemented with the zoning map, this is gonna be a much better document. You have it in front of you, and by the way, don't worry, you're gonna have notebooks coming with that, they're just not here yet. So I'll make sure everybody has a notebook, they can put their drafts in, and then once we do the final, we can put that in the same book. So that should be coming here, hopefully by tomorrow. But that's in front of you, so please feel free to start looking it over, so. Let's see here, I think the residents are gonna like it a lot better because it's full of illustrations and matrix and all that kind of stuff that makes it a lot easier to review it and try to understand it. Our old zoning code, or I should say our current code, at least part of it, has been so cumbersome over the years. It's just a mishmash. It's basically the old Franklin Township code that's been bandaged over the years. So this is going to be a lot better thing once it's done. But it's still open as a living document, and we can still go in there and revisit things that, once again, if something's not working, we have the option, we can go back and look at it with the commission and also council. So, let's see what else we had here. That. All the good news is we've got some good things going on. The planning commission and the staff and the engineer, we completed everything for the Bell store, and as you see, they're moving dirt over there now. So that's going to be a good feather in the cap for the city. Also, we had finished up with Boatmasters Marine. He's doing a little bit of expansion work down there. He's going to do it in 3 phases, and he's going to be starting the first phase fairly soon on that. And he has a really nice property down there. That's a showcase property for Boatmasters. At least I think it is. Dollar General is going to be converting over to DG Market pretty soon. They just went through their signs to change that. Everybody doesn't change any of the use stuff because it's really the same other than expanded groceries is really all it's going to be. Let's see what else we got here. 7 permits for houses so far this year. 564 West Temecula, 4612 Dusty Circle, 155 Shrakes Hotel Drive. And we have 2 houses, a family, parents and daughter at 2020 Center and also 2050 Center. They're going to build houses right next door to each other. Also, we have 2793 Grill, and I just finished up the one for 1303 Vanderhoof. And we got another one pending as well. That's going to be coming probably next week sometime, once we get through the topographical stuff. I reached out, or I should say attempted to reach out to Dave Burkowski on the Sword Farm. Remember that little project down here? Mm-hmm. It's really all expired now. I mean, he's going to have to start this all over again because it's expired. I mean, he never did anything down there outside of doing some renovation on the house and the garage, but the barn is still stuck in limbo there in the property. So hopefully he'll get back to me on that. Bill started canvassing the city. In fact, I went with him yesterday. We were out on the very northeast side on stuff. We found an abandoned house that it's going to have to be mowed and cleaned up, which that's not a problem. We can handle that. And we have 2 properties that we're going to mow in Highland Park that Bill called that in the other day. So we'll get that taken care of. I just want to encourage the residents to call us and our emails and let us know what's going on. And I promise we're working on 1634 So we're going to be a BZA meeting. The next one's going to be Tuesday, June 9th. And then obviously we have the hearing next Thursday of the planning commission. And that's pretty much all we have right at the moment. I'm happy to take any questions on that too.
You had mentioned the Sword Farms Event Center. You said that's expired. So just so I understand this correctly, he cannot continue on with the same purpose, so that doesn't come back.
He's going to have to come back because
does that come back to council or come back to
He'll come back to planning and zoning. We're going to take him back for.
And then
eventually it'll come to city council. And the event center is proposed up here where the barn is. That's just on hiatus right now because he still has some things he's got to complete from an engineering standpoint. So all of that will come to city council too, but he's got some things he's going to tie up too.
Tell us about the water line.
Water line, an interesting thing. I talked to Matt Schmale, the one engineer involved in the project. He came in and talked to me a couple weeks ago, and he said I don't know if somebody turned them in or what, but they have to do an archaeological study on the property for Native American artifacts. And he said it's gonna cost him $30,000 to do this archaeological survey. So right now, it's kind of in a holding pattern on that, so hopefully they get through that part.
It's a real thing.
What's that?
It's a real thing. I know of another community that do something similar.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't very happy, let's put it that way. And so the city can't really do anything about that. I mean, you're gonna have to deal with the state on that. So, and I haven't heard anything about the sewer, what's going on with the sewer coming, to the water now. So we haven't heard any updates on that. Maybe Service Department may know more about that than us, so. But, that's everything I can bring to you right now, so.
When you say we've started canvassing the city, we don't do that consistently, like continually through the
We
year?
usually do it like 4 times a year to do a whole canvas, and then a lot of it's complaint driven. So, but we still gotta find a way, and I agree with the mayor and I talked about this, I agree, we can knock on doors and talk to people, but we still have to have that vehicle to keep moving with it, so. But we'll definitely consider it.
And again, just to clarify what Barry has spoken about it, no offense to Marshall and the law director, but it is hopefully we can resolve some situations with good communication, be a resource for our residents as public servants, I don't think everything is going to be confrontational. Sometimes people just aren't aware that they're breaking a zoning code. So we're just trying to vet that before we would send it on forward. And I've offered to Barry to go with them if we have situations. That's where I've had the most success with people. Just going to have face to face. And even if we don't come to a resolution, we can speak about it and go from there. So that's the way I like to handle things if at all possible. So. But we will get those signs in the yard for the short-term rentals to make sure we're following that stuff. So
Yeah.
we will shoot for that.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Am I excused?
You're excused.
You want to escort me out, or? All right.
We will start with our committee meetings, then we'll move to streets and drainage. Mr. Holman?
Thank you. We'll open up the Streets and Drainage Committee at 6:37 p.m., starting with the resolution number 26R25, a resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with OHM Advisors for design, bidding, and construction administration services for the 2026 New Franklin paving project and declaring an emergency. I always get very excited over this, what roads we're going to pave and everything. I'll break down a little bit of the details. This is to not exceed $65,000. This is broken down into 3 phases. This agreement is the phase 1 being pre-design and construction documents, phase 2 being bidding contract documents, and then construction services, which is estimated to take 6 weeks. They say is phase 3. I would say that we always run this annual paving program. We've always engaged OHM Advisors to do it as a city engineer, and they have done good over the years, because if they haven't done good over the years, we wouldn't have anybody anymore do this. So I feel like they've done a good job on this. And we have a separately managed an ODOT Manchester Road Resurfacing project in April. So now,
August, correct?
yes,
August, yeah.
So
So we pay for service to grade our roads too and try to address the worst ones, obviously, and this is part of that annual program.
any other questions or comments on that?
Do we know if contractors will bid on it this late in the year?
Yes, so we've been meeting with OHM regularly to make sure we're on time and on task with it. Like, for example, we have a culvert issue that we pulled out just to make sure we don't go back and pay it twice to waste the money. I'd rather deal with that, replace the culvert, and then add that back onto the list. Just so, again, similar to how we're paving Route 93, ODOT's allowing us to move it up so we don't have to do it twice, although there's funding there. I would rather not spend the city's money if we don't have to twice, just to come in behind it after work's already been done, so.
Excited?
And it's definitely gonna need it after all the work.
Yeah.
Yes, it needs it now. Any other questions or comments? Comfortable waiving the reading? We'll move on to resolution number 26R26, A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with OHM Advisors for the construction administration of the Melody Village Culvert Improvements Project, Part 2, and declaring an emergency. So I think the mayor, the last mayor said himself, we had some 100-year rains last summer when he was here. I just remember him quoting that. I wasn't expecting him to say 100-year rains. Even all the way back in 24, we had some that damaged about, was it 4 culverts in Melody Village were pretty roughed up, and it caused some flooding for the residents over there. So we're trying to get it all done correctly, one sweep of the broom to get it all done. The most distressed ones, I believe, received emergency repairs in September of 2024, if I recall correctly. I know, was it 20? It was 24 in September they got the emergency repairs. So now it's part 1. And then now this is the second part, which is broken up into 2 things, which is $64,000 at most. So the first part is utility coordination. So the utility coordination is with AT&T. I don't remember offhand what it was.
And Bridge also had to be looking at the gas line.
Yeah, Enbridge, AT&T, Ohio Edison had something too, I believe. I'm not.
They could have, but that could happen, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll have our pre-construction meeting on that next week, start to lay that out and get ready to move forward with that. There was just, like you said, a couple issues with the utilities we didn't get resolved and things like that. There's grant money involved there, correct?
OPWC.
Melody Village, I'm not sure off the top of my
Okay,
head, sorry.
no,
We
but,
applied for the OPWC application last summer, correct?
correct.
Did we get anything back for that? Or?
I believe we did, yes, because we had to make sure that we were willing to, but usually it's an 80-20%, and that we would pay our portion of that, so we did confirm that with OHM to move forward to resolve that.
It's our first thought.
I think you're right, yeah, I don't have it in front of me,
And then obviously the full construction contracts will come in resolutions later after this one. So the bidding. Any questions or comments?
I just have one. Did I understand that part of this is going to be paid by OPWCE?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Comfortable waiving at 3?
Yes.
We will close the Streets and Drainage Committee at 6:42 p.m.
We'll move to safety committee, Mrs. Jones.
I'll open safety at 6:02 right now. Resolution number 26R27, resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into a 4-year extension of the agreement with Manchester Local Schools for police services and declaring an emergency. This is, and I spoke with Susan about this because when I read it, I wasn't quite sure if I was reading it correctly. But Manchester Schools has one of our officers that will be at the school on their premises for certain hours every day. Then we use them the rest of the hours. We're able to use them.
Sorry to interrupt you, Judy. So we have 2, actually.
Right, and this is the second one, am I
This
correct?
is replacing the contract from 2022. This is the one for that, and yes. So they take on approximately 75% of the cost of the officer.
That's what I was wondering when I saw these pricings, and then I read on it, it said 75%. And Susan explained that we are able to use them quite a bit when they're not on staff there.
Correct, but we have vacations and things during the summer. Coming from the school board, I was on the other side of this negotiation in the past. Well, not a problem, but it was a flat rate. So after 4 years, our costs continue to go up as far as the city from salary and benefits and things like that. So we decided to tier it this time. One, so the schools could take those increases more gradually instead of all at once. And it's worked out well so far for us. And I think this helps us to continue to capture some of that cost and doesn't take a $20,000-$25,000 bump every
Right.
contract for them annually. So
So the contract for the first officer there is exactly the same as this one? No.
No, it's a different amount.
This is-
yeah, it's a different, yeah.
Okay, I misunderstood you. I thought you said that both contracts were the same one.
Well, they're the same language in it, but it's different because it was based on negotiations at a certain time.
Okay, so those are the ones that you're talking about, Stephen, that the pricing did not go up?
So, yeah, the ones from the past, so going forward, we're gonna
Right.
tier it like
And this
this.
is the first one we've done this
Yes,
for.
correct.
Okay,
So I
Sorry,
think they're
Susan,
2 years of with the 2 officers, I think they're about 2 years apart as far as when the contracts alternate like that. Because we didn't always need a second officer in the
Right.
schools. We just started doing that, and it was already in the middle of Officer Turbovich's contract, so we added the second one.
sounds
And I think this is the first renewal on that one, so.
Does anyone have any questions?
I'm still a little confused on something.
Yeah.
In the resolution, it says March of 2024, and that this is the extension of that contract.
It's replacing the one from 2022. We have a typo there. We'll get that corrected.
Okay, so when was it from 2022?
2022 through end of, to 2026.
So it's
And,
beginning
do we-
2026?
Do we know when that resolution or what that resolution number is?
I do not, but I will, well. I do not have that in front of me, but I can find that out and get that back to you. And it's already been passed for school. We could even, hold off on this till we get this.
Would you feel more comfortable, Jim, holding off?
Well, I just,
Make
you were
it
saying,
changes.
the resolution currently says March of 2024. I'd just like it to be more accurate.
We'll take time.
Instead of
to
just saying
make sure everybody's in the-
2022.
That makes sense.
But if we could get the actual resolution number included in this,
Yep.
that we're extending, I think that'd be helpful.
So as it stands right now, we're going to take time.
And to follow up with what Mr. Cox is saying, I went back to March of '24, and there was a resolution on the agenda, and I think that was the second officer.
Yeah.
So although it did reflect back to the first agreement, this is just a new agreement that started in '24.
Okay.
Is there any benefit to us offsetting this one, so it's not every 4 years and it coincides with the other one expiring, so we do them both at the same time?
I can go back and talk with the schools about that and see how that, to me, it makes no difference, but frankly, it's just the way it laid out at that time. But I can go back and check with them and make sure they're comfortable with it. I know they passed at least the dollar amounts on their meeting last month.
I guess if they're already accepted this, the other contract will expire in 2 years. So maybe at that point we can adjust the timing of that.
We can make it for 2 years just to match it with the other one.
Right.
Yeah, I would
For
have
6 years, so we don't have to deal with too much.
Yeah, either way.
I'd be fine with that. And I know, like I said, that's a flat rate, so we can get that into the tier.
Looks like the second contract expires June 15th, 28th.
Any other questions? So I'll ask for time on this, and we can make those changes. And I will close the meeting at 6:48.
We go to the Community Development Committee, Mr. Fossey.
We open the Community Development Committee at 6:48 PM. With resolution 26-R-28, resolution declaring a 6-month stay on the filing, consideration, review, and/or appeal of all new applications for data centers and related activities in the city of New Franklin, and declaring this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. I know that a lot of people in the community have concerns with the data centers that are popping up everywhere, as we share those same concerns when it comes to your infrastructure, electricity usage, water usage, and everything that comes with those. I know we were waiting on our land use code to come out and see if there's gonna be anything in there. I haven't had a chance to look this over, we just got it.
So sorry to interrupt you, Robert. As I understand it through Mr. Ganell, it's a conditional use, regardless if somebody were to apply. I went to a limited access data center tour last week in New Albany. They had an interesting setup, the way they were compensating the city. I didn't feel comfortable with it because, one, it uses a ton of electricity. That has not changed. that uses a ton of water. That has not changed. And I didn't hear any solution to address those issues. So I just wanted to vet it and make sure that what you hear in the news or social media is accurate. And like I said, there's high security there, so we couldn't really get to certain areas. But at the end of the day, it eats up a lot of resources. And I'm not sure that for us it's a good fit in this community at this time.
I know whenever Jim had posted the agenda, it usually goes, there's a lot of discussion about, why are we just not banning them outright? And I reached out to a few different people, but I think the reason that this isn't just a sheer banning of them right out of the rip is, first we need to define what a data center is.
Right.
If you look at the definition of a data center, it's just some place that has networking server type equipment for the purpose of data storage. And on the surface, if we think data center, we're automatically thinking of Google or Amazon, one of those type of big data centers. Yeah, that doesn't really necessarily make sense for New Franklin. But if you look at the other end of it, you could have an engineering firm or an advertising firm move in who has their own data center built into the back of their office. By technicality, it's still a data center. And if you have somebody who's researching the building code looking to come to your community and they see right out of the gate that you ban data centers, they may not come and offer that option for you to look at their business. So I think one of the things we really need to do is do a due diligence and define what a data center is. One of the other things is I was at a meeting today in Columbus and they started talking about data centers. And there's a movement starting in California called SPANS. And what they're looking at doing is minimizing the footprint for these data centers. They're realizing that a lot of these neighborhood communities have excess capacity on their grid for those areas. So instead of having one massive conglomerate type data center in the community, you start breaking these up into smaller type units in smaller pockets that are single room type units. And then they even brought up about the cooling aspect of it. It sounds like NVIDIA is creating chips now that use a liquid cooled process. So it runs off like a house AC type unit versus all the water and stuff that they would typically use for that. And one of the things that they mentioned is even though today we're trying to regulate against data centers, we're regulating what was developed 4 or 5 years ago. We don't even know what they're generating, they're working on today because they're already working on those things and we won't see that for another couple of years. So I think it's the stay is just to let us do our due diligence. It's not that we have an agreement with anybody. It's not that we're looking at anything. There's none of that that's currently on the map. We just want to make sure what we do is we do it the first time right, and it's something that works for New Franklin.
True, very well said.
Cool. I want to talk about, I think I saw some conversation about the 6-month ban reasoning, and I think Mr. Kant's had a phenomenal answer on that. Is that correct?
Of course, all of my answers are phenomenal.
I must be really good at this today. Do you want to talk about the reasoning why, because you already answered it online, do you want to talk about the reasoning why we're doing a 6-month versus like a permanent ban?
Well, our law director suggested that a shorter term protects us if somebody were to challenge it. If we were to go to court over a ban, a shorter term helps our case.
Yeah, so the Supreme Court made a decision called the Penn Central Framework, in that when you do a permanently long ban, it becomes a regulatory taking. So a regulatory taking is when the court will say you minimize the economic value of the property so much that it's become worthless now. And when you do a de facto longer ban, it requires a way higher legal justification to enforce that ban. So using that framework, if we do a shorter ban, which looks more in good faith, it makes it easier for the city to prove that, which it makes it easier to enforce. If we were to do a de facto ban on these, and we were to go to court and lose on that, which I think Lordstown is currently in litigation about that right now, that means the data center would be able to go in place and circumvent our resolution in place. So the 6-month is to help enforce banning short-term rentals in this instance because of the unknowns that we're currently facing. A de facto ban would make it easier for a data center to come in and circumvent those rules we were in place. So I'm just going into nauseam detail about what Mr. Cox got correct.
Thank you. And those were exactly what I was thinking. I was just bringing it down to. I'm going to rock the boat like I always do. First of all, again, based on my limited knowledge of data centers, I don't think they're right for New Franklin. I also don't see the need for this 6-month stay. As our zoning code already is going to require conditional use permit for something like this to happen, which means it would have to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission, would have to have a public hearing, would have to come to us, would have to have a public hearing. So I just don't know that this is really necessary. And as Mr. Powell said, or kind of alluded to, is that things are changing, and you mentioned a data center could be somebody's office, and whatever, a little bit bigger than that, but still just an office building as such. And this could possibly have somebody say, well, let's go look somewhere else. We don't know what's going on in New Franklin. Let's go look somewhere else. And by not having a ban, they can come in and they can go through the process, and we can see if they're a good fit for New Franklin. Now, as Mr. Powell also said, things are changing rapidly. You mentioned about how they're dividing up the data, things like that, and that seems to be catching on. But with these larger farms that everybody seems to be scared of, and I also want to say, we're only hearing one side of it for the most part. We hear the vocal people, ban them, but we're not really hearing the other side, and I think that's important that we do. But with these large data centers, they're evolving. They're already changing. How can we produce our own electricity? And so like with the turbines that they would need to produce electricity, there's 3 companies that make them, and they're on I don't want to say back order, but they're on back order. You can't get one for 3 or 4 years, and obviously you're going to need quite a few. Also, with these data centers, from what I've have found, is they mostly go towards unincorporated areas, townships, out in farmland, out in the country and counties, not into cities where we do have zoning, where we do have regulations, and it makes it a lot harder for them to get something approved within a city versus versus out in the country, some other township. Okay. So I'm concerned that we're doing this. I don't think it's necessary, and I worry that it might push somebody away from New Franklin because we don't know what's going on there. Let's just look somewhere else. I'm also concerned about the zoning changes, and that I haven't read through them, so I can't answer. But my concern is that we might be making zoning changes based on our limited knowledge or our limited fears of today, and not 5 years from now, and what situations are going to be 5, 6, 10 years from now. And I don't want our zoning code to be so rigid or so tight that, again, it might prevent someone to come to New Franklin that might actually be good for New Franklin. We talked about the water usage and the drain on electricity. That's not going to be a good fit for us. We're not going to allow that to happen. We're not going to do that to our residents. But 5 years from now, it could be completely different. 5 years from now, they could have their own nuclear reactor creating their power.
That actually came up. In the relevance of all this, like Mr. Powell alluded to, I mean, it's changing faster than regulations can get out.
Exactly. And I just don't want our regulations to deter someone from presenting something to us and allowing us to decide whether it's good for New Franklin or not. I don't imagine, I can't see large data center coming to New Franklin. It really don't have the space, the acreage, and I don't know that we even have the power grid to make it happen. It just wouldn't make sense in my opinion. But even with that, they have to come through us. They have to have the public hearings, and it has to be approved, planning and zoning, and this. So I just don't know that this is necessary.
I appreciate those comments, Mr. Cox. As always, I'm on the other end. I'm all for this 6-month stay on this. I think that gives us 6 months to make sure our zoning codes are proper. And it also gives us 6 months to get educated. So if that means we need to bring in people on both sides to talk to us in front of the city so everybody else can hear, to get everybody educated, I would not be opposed to that.
Good idea.
That gives us 6 months to get up to speed.
Any other comments, concerns? All right, comfortable with agree? We'll close the Community Development Committee at 7 p.m.
We'll call to order our regular state council meeting. If you join us for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cox?
Present.
Mr. Schaefer?
Present.
Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Powell?
Present.
Mr. Klesky?
Present.
Mr. Wolf?
Present.
Mr. Almond?
Present.
We have a motion for approval of the minutes of the meeting scheduled on May 6th of 2026.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Klesky?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Next up is the approval for financials for April 2026, subject to audit. I would request Tom on those. They just came out today and I haven't had time to look at them. Is everybody okay with that?
Perfect.
Move to our public comment. Please keep your comments addressed to, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Hold on. Caught me out of the corner of my eyes. Like, maybe I was doing something wrong.
No. No.
Please keep your comments addressed to council in under 4 minutes. Any public comments?
Mr. Jordan, this is your time. State your name and address for the record, please.
Tom and Peggy Jordan, 820 Zaletta Drive, New Franklin. I think we're neighbors of Bob over there, aren't we?
We are, sir.
Good neighbor there. I got my truck stuck in the backyard with a trailer on it. I didn't even meet and knew him. That's the first time I ever met you. He come down and hooked up and pulled my truck out of there. I don't know what I'd done without that. This past winter, I have a 4-wheeler, and I go around with a blade on the front. I go around our neighbor's driveway just to help him out. He was coming behind me, shoveling up around where the garage door was, where I couldn't get up that close. But anyway, you're a good neighbor, and I appreciate
Sorry,
it.
sir. I appreciate it.
What I'm here for, what do I do with that? Right here. Is I'm really kind of disappointed, I guess, maybe in New Franklin. It seems to me that New Franklin gets their sewer system through Summit County, through Akron. Is that right?
Summit County, yes.
Okay, Summit County.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, every year that sewer price goes up. Probably about 7, 8 years ago, I called them and I asked them, what do you base this sewer price on? And she says, the amount of people that's in the house. I said, well, there's only 2 of us in our house, but there's neighbors around here that's got kids, larger families. Why do we have to pay the same price that they do when there's only 2 of us? And she said she'll have somebody check that. So they dropped our price because there were just 2 of us in here. Now we get a bill we have to pay. I'm sure, I don't know, you probably got one too, didn't you? Everybody in our allotment, I'm sure, got one. I got 9 neighbors right around my house that are 1 or 2 people. And there's larger families in our allotment. In fact, there's probably a lot of larger families in New Franklin. And I get the wrong one in my hand. And a bill now, and keep in mind, we're both on Social Security. We've been retired for 20 years. What we were getting back 20 years ago is nowhere near what they're getting today from Social Security. So our income is pretty low. Now we get a bill for $187. I gotta pay every 3 months. We don't even use that much water. And I asked him, what do you base that on? The guy said it's a flat rate. So everybody in our neighborhood, regardless of the size of their family, is paying the same. How is that fair? How's that fair to senior citizens? And like I said, we've got at least 10 of them around Bob's house between Vaughn and Peggy Ann at the end of the letter. 2 people. There's a couple families, there's probably a few families in there that have larger families. And I talked to Jim, and I appreciate the help that you've done. I haven't heard from anybody. And I'm just asking New Franklin if you could step up for the senior citizens and maybe do something to drop this bill. I mean, you're the one that, I guess, contracted it with Summit County, is that right? Somebody in New Franklin had to agree with Summit County to take care of the sewer. And we're on a well. We don't even use New Franklin water or Akron water.
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous, this. On our income, we have to pay the same amount at the store, gas, no matter what we buy, we have to pay the same amount that you do. And I almost be willing to bet there's nobody in this room that makes less than $45,000. Probably more than that. The average wage in the United States is $60,000. We don't even get half that between both of us. And I don't know how we're going to be able to manage. My wife is a critical seizure patient. She has to have medication. Me, I'm a little bit healthy. I got 2 replaced knees, 2 replaced hips, a replaced shoulder, and then they're going to have to do this. In fact, I told my wife when I die, take me to the junkyard with all these expensive parts, and I'll probably be able to get some money out of it. But anyway, I'm just asking New Franklin to take a look at the senior people around here, the people that only, we got one neighbor across the street from our house. He's by himself. You know, and I hardly ever see him. But there's a lot of people, and I'm just talking about our allotment.
Sure.
Right here, our allotment, which is right down here behind McDonald's and the gas station. Surely there's got to be some way of doing this that's fair to everybody. I mean, even Akron City, they got, well, I'm sure we're going to wind up on some kind of a meter here before too often, much longer. Hopefully we won't be here when that happens. I see them coming up the street with what, water?
Yeah.
Sewer? Yeah, we're on a well, like I said. And, you know, at our age, we don't use the amount of water that we used to use when we were 20 years ago, 15 years ago. You get older, you know, you just, you don't wash as many dishes. You know.
Mayor, any thoughts on this?
So, Tom.
I'm supposed to be talking to you?
No, you're good. I was just looking for input.
So, I called for the same reason you did, like, hey, how does this flat fee work? You know, because everywhere else, if you have water, it's usually determined by how much water you use, is how your sewer rate's determined. And I had called up to City Hall before I was in this seat asking the same question.
I come down here, I have a little bit of a hearing problem.
No, you're good.
I couldn't understand anything you guys was talking about.
So I called for the same reason. I have a property where we're on that same sewer system, but we have well water, and I couldn't figure out how they determine the rate either.
Right.
And basically, and I had called up here and talked to, I forget who I talked to before I was in this seat, asking, I guess there was some agreement made at some point of a flat rate. I will call the county again and see if there's any sort of senior rate offering or something like that to see if there's anything we can do on that.
Well, my neighbor across the street, I talked to her today, And she said she called somebody and they're gonna, watch. The reason it went up is they discontinued the 10% that we had off last year.
Oh, okay.
So,
I thought they just took an increase, because I just got my bill too, and it went up a little bit from last year as well.
10%, what, that's $18 off almost a $200 bill.
Yeah. Well, I will. Let me call them again, because I've never tried to address it from this seat. I addressed it as a consumer like you and didn't get very far, much like you haven't, to this point. So I will try again and see if there's something that, at least some sort of rate for less people in the household or something like that, and at least give it a shot. And I'll follow up with you on that, if that'd be okay.
I certainly appreciate your time and,
Well, I'll get your phone number from Jim or Bob.
and your name's Steve.
Yeah, and I'll call you after I talk to somebody at the county about that. If that's okay.
Hey, Mayor, if we could you ask if they'd allow them to put a water meter on their house as well? Even though they have well water, I think the county has allowed people in some cases to install water meters, and then they're billed on an actual unit rate versus a flat rate.
I will ask that. So mine's commercial, and I tried to do that when I had well, and they wouldn't allow me to do it because of, and I'm not using the verbiage right, I'm sure, but the charter agreement or whatever that flat fee was. But I'll run it up the flagpole and see where I can get with it and see if I can get some sort of answer for you. But yeah, I'll ask them that again
I
too.
think I looked into it a while back, and I
And
think
maybe you guys can help me out with I got a couple questions. On our property tax,
I think it's basically the city, agreeing through resolution to allow the county to be the purveyor of sewer services for the city of Franklin. Akron wouldn't be involved with that. That would be straight through the county. The county sets the rates across the entire county, so you're paying the same as anybody else in the county that's on a flat rate.
yeah, the flat rate.
Right.
Yeah, well, how is that fair?
Well,
I mean, we got two people, 5 of my neighbors around me, just one. There's larger families in here, we're paying the same as they're paying, and they use a lot more water.
right, so I'll check with the mayor. There may be an option that they may allow you to do, which may help reduce that as well.
Well, let me do some digging on that, and I'll follow up with you on it.
Okay, now maybe you guys can answer me a couple of questions. My tax bill. General fund, $43. I have no idea what that general fund is. Children's services, $35. Children's services, $19. Mental health, $46. Board of DIV, DIS, $100. Debit service, $11. Zoo, $11. Zoo, $11. New Franklin City, $240. Manchester LSD, $834. Portage Lakes JVSD, $49. Akron Summit County Library, $58. Summit Metro Parks, $34. Which brings our tax bill up to $15.23 twice a year. That's more than one of our Social Security checks, crying out loud. Quite a bit more. So, people that's on, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in New Franklin that, they're older. Neighborhoods turn over about every 20, 25 years. The kids grow up, the parents move, new families move in. Okay, so now on a lighter note, there was this lady walking through the woods, and she come upon a trap with a frog in it. And the frog says to her, "Can you get me out of this trap? If you do, I'll give you 3 wishes, anything you want." Lady says, okay, she gets the frog out. Frog says to her, "Now I know you're married, I can see the ring on your finger." She says, "Yes." He said, "Now, what's your first wish?" She says, "I want to be the most beautiful woman in the world." He says, "Now I got to tell you, your husband's going to get 10 times whatever you wish for. So he's going to be 10 times more handsome than the handsomest man in the world." She said, "That's okay, I'll be the most beautiful woman in the world. He won't want anybody else." "Well, what's your second wish?" "So I want to be the richest woman in the world." now your husband's gonna have more money than, 10 times more money than you. She says, that's all right, what his is mine and what's mine is his. She says, he says, Frog says, what's your last wish? She said, I'd like to have a very, very violent heart attack. Anyway,
You're all
you didn't get it? He'll be dead.
He's got a 10,000 ton.
His heart attack's gonna be 10 times more than her. Okay, well, thank you for your time, gentlemen, and Bob, I'm glad to see you.
Check the
My
water.
wife and I voted for you, it's good to see you.
Come down and knock anytime you got any questions.
I'm sorry?
I said, come knock on the door anytime if you have any questions. You know it's always open.
Anytime you want.
He's using all the water in the neighborhood.
Bob said to knock on his door anytime you need anything.
Well, thank you. You know, I'll say one thing, we're blessed with good neighbors
We are.
in our area.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I don't know, should we stay for anything else, or is that?
You can stay or go. We appreciate you coming in.
One more question. What's your address one more time, please?
820 Saletta Drive.
820, thank you.
I sent you his phone number.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're excused. The best part is already.
Let me get the upside, I can't do it with this one.
A lot of care, aren't we?
Yeah, the blind leading the blind here.
Any other comments?
Sharon Goodwin, 6789 Hampshire Road. I have a question about a notice that we received in the mail, as did other neighbors. It's from T-Mobile Fiber, and it's a construction notice. And it talks about working to install fiber and where they might be and how they might do it. And I reached out to ask a couple of questions, and I talked to 2 different people, and I'm still very unclear. They didn't seem to really have much information. And I was wondering if Councilor Mayor knows anything about this.
Is that the Lumos project?
Yeah, so Sharon, I've been involved in that, and they are not, so that they're starting to talk about coming through, working on permitting for that. And it would just be another option similar to Spectrum or something like that. And it would be in the right of way. And they would come in, run that stuff underground, and then supposed to put it back the way it was. We've run into a few hiccups already that we're going to slow down. We've asked them to stop any and all work until we've had a chance to get better clarification ourselves on that. And then we'll try to communicate that out. They were without notice in my yard yesterday, honestly, and we want to make sure the permitting is where it should be, and it wasn't. So we had them stop. And like I said, we're going to get better clarification, and we're going to have a meeting next week, and then we'll kind of roll that out and communicate that out to everybody. Much better than it's been done to date.
Well, yeah, because they mentioned between homes, behind property lines, possibly in fenced areas, and yeah, I would just like to.
Yeah, it's the only time is that it would be, it should never be in your property, just in that right of way by the street at this point. So, and in my house it wasn't. They were halfway up my yard and doing some things that we, I just happened to stop home because I forgot my wallet and saw them out there, and I was like, "Who are you and what are you doing?" And it had not been communicated. So we've stopped for the moment until we get, like I said, better clarification on that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So it should only be in the right of way,
Correct.
as we know.
Yes.
Okay. So anything else would be an easement?
I'm sorry.
Anything else would be an easement?
Yes. Yeah.
Any other public comments?
I guess I'll stand up. Matt, I'm off of Swigert Road.
What is your last name?
Falanga.
Could you spell that for me, please?
Falanga.
And your address?
4200 Whitcliffe.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm here about the data centers, and I like a lot of the comments that I've heard thus far. Devin made a good point there about the court case. I haven't heard that, but I will look into that as well. I hear what Kevin's saying. I still don't want any of these around, and I like what Jim's saying about them not being a good fit. All over the country, around the nation, people are getting upset about these things, and the digital surveillance system that is being created in front of us. As these are on the docket tonight, I thought it was a good time to talk about it. They couple these tools with the AI software that's out there, such as Palantir, Real ID, and the centralized bank digital currencies that are on the way. This is a basis of a digital prison in which there's no escape. These tools are being used by corporate agencies contracted by governments, okay? And this tactic is used to sidestep our rights as citizens. One of these companies, such as Palantir, has been used by the IDF to target terrorists in Palestine. And the CEO of Palantir, Alex Karp, has mentioned at the World Economic Forum that they are going to use this system as a way to set a global standard for behavior. I just wonder when the term terrorist will be turned onto the citizenry of America. Another such agency known to that's already here is Flock. There's cameras everywhere popping up all around their community. They're all over the school. They're at Vanderhoof, the park over there. There's the park over on Center Road. At Caston, there's a camera over there. There's one on Caston in Arlington. And all over, everywhere you drive, these cameras are everywhere, surveilling us as we travel, okay? These cameras, they use a predictive software. They track the vehicle, the patterns, the registration, and through that, the individual. If we don't use our rights, we inevitably will lose them. All over people are opposing this, data centers included. I'm not a fan of these Flock systems. I don't know how they got into the community. I wasn't paying attention when they were here. I thought this was a big city item until I just started looking. And man, they just seemed like they popped up overnight. I'm going to end with a quote from Sam Orwell, his book, Dusk of Liberty. People often focus on the personal histories of authoritarianism instead of the factors of the respective societies which made their rise possible. And I feel like we are on the doorstep of something we don't want heading our way. This is going to be social credit system on our doorstep, and it's going to be on the backs of our kids and our children. And I would like to see some sort of steps in our community to try and mitigate this. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to resolution 26R-25.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with OHM Advisors for design, bidding, and construction administration services for the 2026 New Franklin paving project and declaring an emergency.
This resolution was assigned to the Streets and Drainage Committee. I move to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Klesse?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
I motion to adopt the resolution number 26R25.
Second.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Klesse?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Resolution 26R-25 passes 7-0. Resolution 26R-26.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with OHM Advisors for the construction administration of the Melody Village Culvert Improvements Project, Part 2, and declaring an emergency.
This resolution was assigned to the Streets and Drainage Committee. I motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Mr. Klesse?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
This, I move to adopt resolution number 26R26.
Second.
Mr. Clusty?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer? Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Resolution 26R26 passes 7-0. Resolution 26R-27.
Renee asked for time. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into a 4-year extension of the agreement with Manchester Local Schools for police services and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to ask for time for changes to be made for this resolution.
Time is asked for, time is granted. Resolution 26R-28.
A resolution declaring a 6-month stay on the filing, consideration, review, and/or approval of all new applications for data centers and related activities in the city of New Franklin, and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
This resolution was brought before the Community Development Committee. I move to waive the three.
Second.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Clusty?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
I move to approve Resolution 26-R-28.
Second.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
No.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Clusty?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Resolution 26R-28 passes 6-1. And no second readings and third readings pending legislation. We'll move to the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. All right, this week is National Public Service Week for all of our city employees. In appreciation of all of our departments, we're going to have lunch Friday, which obviously we've invited them to. I believe that it's important that our departments and personnel be familiar with each other and just trying to help build a more team-based culture here. And oftentimes we have situations arise where whether it be an accident, a tree down in a roadway, or just simple maintenance that require multiple departments to work together and communicate to ensure the safest and most efficient outcome. And I am big on kind of that cross training, making sure we are putting a face to it, right? Knowing who you're working with. And so I just want to say thank you for the work all of our different departments are doing, and appreciate them. And hopefully you guys go and join us Friday so they can put faces to some of you guys if they haven't met you. Personally, I want to say thank you to all of us here in Franklin, all of our team makers that make this a great, safe place to live, work, and raise a family if they choose to do so. Speaking of team, I would like to say thank you to Katie Smith, city personnel, and all of our wonderful volunteers who made Sailing to Summer at the Tudor House a smashing success. We had approximately 1,500 to 1,700 people attend this event with nearly 100 vendors. Our next event will be our old-fashioned
4th of July.
4th of July, what's it called, the old-fashioned picnic?
Picnic, yes.
Thank you. As a reminder, the Portage Lakes fireworks will be on July 11th this year. This coming Monday, May 25th, will be our annual Memorial Day Parade and Remembrance Ceremony. The parade will begin at 10 a.m., starting at Grace Bible Church and ending with the Remembrance Ceremony in Manchester Cemetery. Our Grand Marshal this year will be New Franklin resident Matt Adams, along with his family. Just want to say thank you to Chris Lippincott for all of her work in getting this together and organized. She would also like to know if you guys would like any banners and such for the parade. Thank you. That will take some pressure off me there. Thank you, Mr. Scott. Thank you to the Manchester senior class. They came out today for their annual work day. It was a cold, rainy day, and they were here regardless. Did a good job putting mulch down, cleaning up various city vehicles, and just doing a variety of different tasks, picking up trash, things like that, on a less than ideal outdoor work day. Everybody was pretty well soaked, but they diligently worked here at City Hall, the police department, fire department, the state park, and the Tudor House. And just want to thank all those kids were coming out, and our school officials who were escorting them around and keeping them safe. On May 14th, the service department hosted the annual Snow Plow Rodeo at the Portage Lake State Park. 4 other local service departments took part in the competition that tests the skill and speed of plow drivers through a series of obstacles and challenges. The other departments represented were Lake, Jackson, Barberton, and Green. Each department chose 3 drivers to attempt the course, and they were all assisted in the passenger seat by a kid playing hooky. That would be my own son, future aspiring heavy equipment operator Luke. I had explained to his mom that I think Luke's vocabulary either expanded or diminished based on any time the driver picked an obstacle, but that was the first thing he told his mom, which was great to explain. But the participating neighboring communities were also represented by members of their admin teams. They all came out and to observe and cheer on their respective drivers. It was my first time at one of those, and it was a great networking event with our neighboring service departments. I'm not sure, just our relationships just from that already started to, we're sharing notes, different knowledge from our peers in other cities and townships. And we're already seeing the benefits from just that last week. Some other communities around us have gone through some infrastructure changes before us, so it's good to be able to bounce ideas off of maybe what not to do in certain situations. And all of them have been very helpful. Our own John Lewis in our New Franklin Service Department finished in 3rd place. Coming in behind Sam from Jackson Township and Vince from Lake in 2nd place. I question the scores, but additionally from the service department, they wanted me to share that we will be sporadically closing roads in the Barrymore, Durbin, Temple, and Hyman neighborhoods as we replace many old storm sewer culverts in anticipation of planned paving projects. That's us getting out ahead of those things. Many of these roads are narrow, and we just ask our residents to please be patient and alert for the safety of our crews and other drivers as this work progresses. We'll continue to update and communicate as we move through the neighborhoods. We'll use our newsletter and our website whenever possible. The Manchester Road Sewer Project will soon go from daytime lane restrictions to nighttime, where we're probably going to have full road closures. As we get closer to the intersection of Center and Manchester, it's already been, I know, not real convenient for those making their commutes in the mornings and afternoons. So nighttime closures will be in effect from between the hours of 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. during the week. And we are anticipating it lasting approximately 2 weeks. We've already got some of the detours laid out, shared that with the police department. We'll also, when police are available and not on other calls, kind of have them helping and assisting to be more visible for everyone's safety. And also the detours will be posted during those times. Speaking of another first, my first Dragon Boat Festival is being held on July 18th, not January, that would be cold, at Portage Lake State Park. Registration is open. Judy, I expect you to be on my team this year, so get ready. And lastly, I just received notice that Summit County is planning on replacing the bridge that carries Vaderhoof Road over a tributary of the Tuscarawas River in New Franklin. Not to alarm anybody, it's not due to start until 2028, but I just wanted to get the word out there. We will get more details, but they're thinking it'll take approximately 120 days once that work commences. And again, it will not start till the spring or summer of 2028. And we will continue to keep everyone updated as more details are available.
Which road is that?
Vaderhoof.
Okay.
I think it's right there, right around Monroe,
Yeah.
dumps in and right there. And Robert, thanks again for following up on the railroad crossing. Glad to have that fixed. And be able to go about that without you keep chattering so fast.
Smooth ride.
Yeah, so, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
with the finance report?
Well, not too much to report. We're still in the end of our gas preparation. We're gonna have financial, the draft financial report to review pretty soon. That has to be filed by the end of this month. We also spent 3 days with the auditors coming out before our financial report is finished, collecting data and asking questions. Obviously, a lot more questions than usual because we've changed over from the state auditor to an independent auditor, so they have to learn our system and how we do things. So it's a little bit of a learning curve at first. That's one thing the state said. They were sorry they gave us up because now they know us and it's easier for them to do the audit. But that'll come over time as well with them. We'll be with them for 5 years. I did put in your mailbox today the quarterly ethics paper. I always print them out. I can send you the link, but I always want people to see it and take a look at the little tidbits that she has in there that kind of refreshes your memory and also refreshes your memory that make sure you take your ethics courses because those are very important, as well as your as well as the other courses that you need to take once every term, which is the public records. So just a reminder, and that's all I've got.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to old business.
I want to mention the donation ones that Judy just gave me our flyers, and they are darling. They have the date every Thursday, July 9th through September 24th, Sisler Park, 800 West Nemasola Road, and that's Thursday from 4 to 7. But I thought those turned out really good. I think it's going to be fun. Thank you.
Will there be popcorn there?
I think. I talked to the popcorn lady and she said definitely yes.
September 24th.
24th is the ending date and July 9th is the beginning. It's going to be 4 until 7. Thank you.
Would you like to publish one of our flyers for us? And make sure that you get.
They are really pretty.
Yeah, I will take one.
All right, we would love it.
I'll give him one.
Any other old business? New business?
I think I have some new business. Steve, I got a call today from a business on Manchester Road complaining about some of the trash that's being left during construction. But he also mentioned he's not getting his mail. I told him I would call you because I was sure you were the man for the job. And I suggested to him that maybe what we could do was ask that the post office just automatically delivers that on Saturday, all the mail through the week, because they're held up. The postal employee can't get in and out of the driveways. And you don't think about that. Or at least I didn't. I was shocked when he said it. He said, it didn't cross my mind that they can't get in and they can't sit there and wait in order to get in, drop the mail, and come back, because it takes forever. Did you think about that? It didn't cross my mind.
I did not. I've
Okay,
been thinking about
thank
a
you.
lot of things on that project.
But I told him, I said, I think Steve's going to be just as shocked as I am. I was totally blown away by it. But Saturday delivery would work because they aren't doing construction on Saturday.
So they do deliver on Saturdays?
Mail? Yes, they do, honey.
Can you go pick it up from the post office?
You can,
Okay.
but that takes a lot of time for a lot of people.
Yeah, I understand. I just wondered if you needed it.
If you needed it, you
Yeah,
could.
it'd be good.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
It would,
Some
and,
will be down the street and some will be down the corner.
and I even take my mail to the post office sometimes, and I feel that they go a little bit faster. They tell me no.
Sorry to interrupt you, Judy. They are not working on Fridays either, so maybe if they're open there, but after this, if.
Well, it's going to be a short time. I realize that, but
I still want to follow up with that business if you're okay with it.
I would love it. Yes, I told him I would, and I told him I was sure you would call.
Littering, nothing irritates me more than littering.
I know.
So
That's one of your
that's a
little
big
perks.
pet peeve. So we had our progress meeting today, but I will be calling in the morning and reviewing that with them as well. So I will get that name from you after the meeting.
Thank you,
If
I
that's okay.
appreciate it.
I have something for new business. With this year being the 250 anniversary of the country, I know we've got the fireworks going on this year. I'm assuming they're going to have a larger type of display this year. And I didn't know if council wanted to maybe make a donation, all of us as council,
I'd love
towards
it.
fireworks. That's just something I just want to bring up. If anybody was interested in that.
I think that's a very good idea.
Yes.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Steve just said that. July 11th.
If anybody would be interested,
I would. What do you want, what do you think would be good?
we can figure out what that looks like and.
Do it.
Yeah.
That's fine. Any other new business? So you're getting a team together for the dragon boat thing in the city or for the honeymoon?
The city, the city. Not saying those people are safe, but I found out my 14-year-old daughter is, because you gotta be 16. And her decided her out, just got denied, so.
Yeah, they're actually, that team is going to France this year to paddle in France.
Oh, which team?
The dragon boat team.
Oh, wow.
The dragon boat team.
Didn't you go to Italy last year?
2 years ago.
2 years.
Those women are hard to beat.
Well, we're competitive here, team in Franklin, Mary, so we're gonna try. We're recruiting hard.
She'll be scared.
Yeah, she'll be scary. Any other new business? This is the second time for public questions and, on anything that's, raised in tonight's meeting. Any public comment? Seeing none, any need for an executive session?
No, sir.
Our next meeting is gonna be June 3rd of 2026, and somebody might make a motion for adjournment. I'll second.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Klesky?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
It's not June 30th because you guys are taking.
This is session.